Hello and welcome to the family meeting. Y'all, what is going on? Y'all, it's been a couple of days. I don't know where we are as a people. I just pray every day, Jesus, is today the day you're gonna come back? You're gonna come back and get us? Cause we out of control. We are wilding out in these streets. If you are new and not familiar with what I am doing or talking about or why I am on your screen, this is the family meeting brought to you by the Center for Biblical Unity. This is our once a week little time to chat, hang out, talk about what's happened in the week. And you guys, we have some things to talk about. We have quite a few things to talk about. Let me know where you're watching from. Say hello in the chat. I am also watching the chat and seeing what y'all doing. So the first thing that I want to talk about, hey Victoria, hey Susanna, um Victoria, so much going on. Like I don't even know where to begin. But where I am going to start is a pickup from last week's family meeting where I talked about the Glendora Unified School District's potential ethnic studies course and the curriculum. So the Glendora Unified School, well, let me back up. A couple years ago, our governor here in California, Governor Newsom, he proposed and they accepted, our lawmakers have accepted this ethnic studies curriculum where students in order to graduate high school need to complete at least a semester of ethnic studies curriculum. This ethnic studies curriculum, based on the California model, teaches about Native American, Hispanic, Asian, and Black histories. There are pieces of conversations that look at like Arab histories or some of the overlap with like an Arab, probably more toward a Palestinian type history, I would say. But that's what students will cover and what the curriculum proposes. There is room in the curriculum, it says, if I take it at its word, where you can, based on the surroundings and the people within your community, you can adapt the curriculum to include those people too. But let's be honest, people, this is not a curriculum where they want you to learn about white people. This is a curriculum where they want you to focus on minorities. It's about telling history through the minority lens. That's basically what it is. To get rid of dominant narratives or dominant discourses within society and uplift the marginalized, the minority voice, the oppressed voice, and things like that. And so Glendora Unified School District is proposing curriculum that will go along with this course because from my understanding and from what I've read, in order for a student to graduate, it is mandatory that they're going to need to take this class. They are wanting to implement this curriculum now in the fall so that the first graduating class in 2030 will actually have had this curriculum under their belt. Y'all, this curriculum ain't doing nothing but building activists. That's all. Like, I mean, if we could change the name, I would change it to the activist curriculum because it's really looking at the praxis. It's the praxis of critical race theory. It's not, no one is coming in and teaching Kimberly Crenshaw. No one is coming in and teaching some of the founders and the main thinkers of critical race theory. They're not teaching Derek Bell. Okay, so we want to take that off the table. What they are doing is teaching you how to live within that framework and become an activist in that framework without using the words. So they will use they in one of the, or a couple actually, of the units that I saw, it used the word like intersectionality. Kimberly Crenshaw, the founder of critical race theory, is also the one who has coined the term intersectionality, looking at how many different ways a person is oppressed, but it also looks at systems of power and systems of oppression, these types of things. And so it's not telling you critical race theory, but it's giving critical race theory. Like that's what it's doing. And so not last Monday, 2 Mondays ago, I spoke at the Glendora School Board quite by accident. I don't know how I really found myself there. I had a friend who came over and was like, blah, 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 school board meeting, critical race theory. And I was like, oh, it's only a minute from my house. Here, let's go. And so I ended up there. And Now what I wanted to follow up on was that I showed last week in the family meeting, I showed a potential curriculum, or what I thought was the potential curriculum, because that was the only information that they had available on their website. But I praise God that some people know me and I know some people, okay? Someone sent me the actual outline of said curriculum. And so we're going to talk about it. I just want to talk about it a little bit. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it because we got to get to what is that statue? It's that statue in New York, Shanene Bonquita. We got to talk about Shanene Bonquita. So this course, if you go to Krista, you have that one, the ethnic studies course. Okay. So just right at the top, it says, and this is for the Glendora one. It says sample themes, identity, history and movement, exploring economic, social, and political systems. Okay, so one of the things that we can think about when we're thinking about critical race theory is that it looks at systems. It's no longer just simply looking at the individual. It wants to look at broad systems. What are the systems that are oppressing people? What are the systems or the main narratives that happen in society that marginalize or silence others? For example, a heteronormative narrative or a heteronormative discourse. It's a system in which many of the things in our society push toward heteronormativity. Okay, we're not pushing toward trans, LGBTQ plus, and things like that. When they talk about systems in regards to ethnic studies, systems in regards to race, what are the systems that have historically disenfranchised people, or especially minorities? Let me go back to my notes. It would look at systems of oppression, the like, let's see, the way that marginalized narratives have systemically been pushed to the side. It is helping kids understand the systems that that have happened and are happening within America, but it is always going to be from a skewed bent. It's never just a direct, like, hey, this is what happened in history. And when we look today, these things no longer happen, or they happen, but they happen for all people. In this way of thinking, systems never work against white people. And that's part of my problem. It's like, if we're going to talk about systems of injustice, we should be looking at all systems of injustice that have impacted all people, not just systems of injustice that impact these people here. I don't care if historically systems of injustice have not necessarily, impacted white people. If I'm looking back into slavery and, Jim Crow laws and things like that, today, what is the evil that's happening that can marginalize any person regardless of skin color? What was another thing? Let me see, if you go back and let me see, Krista, if you look at, oh, that's the wrong document. The complexities of identity. Students will examine the ways in which identity is complex and how it is constructed by internal and external forces, including various familial and cultural influences. Again, it makes me question. So a lot of what Glendora has put forward is very vague. There are just key points and hotbed like words that make me wonder, like, oh, I wonder what it means when you're talking about the external forces that have constructed identity. Are we now talking about, things like, well, this group thinks this way, or they participate that way because of these outside social influences, and this group over here doesn't because of the way that they have participated within society, and then that necessarily makes a one group victimized, one group marginalized, and another group oppressive and bad. It really just makes me ask questions of what are we teaching? There is a piece in here that's called Culture, the Water We Swim In. As part of a larger unit on identity, students will explore how American culture has changed over time and guide them to explore their personal stories around their own culture. And so if I'm doing that and I am, a teacher who might be leaning more toward this CRT oppressive or, oppressed oppressor bend, I can highlight all the ways in which, Black people have been marginalized, but then I can highlight over here for little Sally all the way that her family hasn't. And I'm not going to necessarily look at her family in regards to, oh well, your mom lost her job and y'all might have been poor, but the way that the system itself did not marginalize you. Again, this is about systems conversations. In the end, the goal, if I build the goal off of the California curriculum, it is to help kids to become community changers, to help them learn how to be community advocates. They are looking to basically create activists within their own community. And so I wanted to just bring a little bit more information to the Glendora curriculum itself, simply because last week I said that what I was reading was actually the curriculum, and I was wrong. It wasn't, or the potential curriculum. It wasn't. This potential curriculum is only 5 pages long. It is not, to me, a good outline for what a potential curriculum could be. In my personal opinion, this is duplicitous. I believe that there could be a move to create a very vague outline. And then once that outline is accepted and adopted, then they fill in all the blank spaces with the really problematic things. They have a glossary of terms. It's all the way at the end. The glossary of terms talks about things like equity. I am concerned that it is not talking about things like equality, because equity is concerned with outcomes. Okay, so how do we get people to the same outcome? And if we don't have the same outcome, then there's automatically something that is unjust happening. So yeah, it's one of those things that really just rubbed me the wrong way. They are having another school board meeting on Monday. And so y'all pray for me. I have no idea right now what I'm doing. I do I do believe that going to speak out on behalf of kids is really important. And it's important, especially here in, the state of California, where the goal is to really undermine parental rights and to present things that are not as though they are. Basically, it's really to help parents get on board by saying, well, we're only teaching them history, we're only giving them a more accurate understanding of history, but in reality they're creating activists. And no one is addressing that. No one is saying, and especially like in this Glendora curriculum, the LGBTQ plus issue hasn't been addressed at all. But in the California model curriculum, it is addressed. And students are encouraged to be advocates for the LGBTQ plus community as a part of understanding identity and history and narrative. And so, again, we need to be using our voice, our vote, and our dollar to be able to stand up for our kids. So that's where we are leaving off with the Glendora Unified curriculum. I just wanted to bring some correction because I was wrong last week. You guys, let me see what is happening in the chat. All right. For a spur of the moment speech, you did really well. Thanks. That statue is giving buffet. I know you didn't. That statue is giving full course buffet. Yes, macaroni grill. It's yeah. Okay, let's see here. Next thing, we're going to the statue in New York. Shanene Bonquita. That's what I named her. It is in reality, it is called Grounded in the Stars. And the purpose, and I don't know, do you have the video that I sent? So you can see in time, I believe it's Times Square in New York, a a statue of a black woman that was supposed to be giving like homage to Michelangelo has been erected through the middle of June as a way to help promote diversity, to give like credence to marginalized voices that normally don't show up in art and things like that. Chris is going to put it on the screen. And I don't know if you can play the video that comes with it. I think audio too, or just no, you can just play the video. This is from, I want to say I stole this from Thomas Sowell's page. But there it is. Oh no, you can play the video. You play the music. That's fine. Because
encourage empathy.
I have a problem that you understand. We all need
the way I laugh when they took. Okay, go ahead.
Communicate those inner worlds that we have, and sometimes we misinterpret with one another to try and create an understanding and basically.
I'm not sure. I think he might
encourage empathy.
I didn't really pay attention. The way they found these singers in the subway in New York, I said, y'all better go ahead. So anyway, let's talk about this, y'all. So I'm gonna give some accurate information before I just go on. It was designed to celebrate the intrinsic value of marginalized individuals, particularly Black women whose presence is often underrepresented in public monuments. The figure's confident stance and unbothered gaze convey authority and self-worth, subtly nodding to Michelangelo's David while capturing everyday qualities. The statue is positioned as a deliberate contrast to two permanent statues in Duffy Square of George M. Cohen and Father Duffy, both white men, highlighting the lack of diverse representation in public art. The fictional woman was put up by artist Thomas Price to instigate meaningful conversation or meaningful connections and bind intimate emotional states that allow for deeper reflection around the human condition and greater cultural diversity. Y'all, I don't know what y'all see when y'all see that Black woman, but I see lunch. And I look, this from one big girl to another. Okay. Look, I know where she been at. Krispy Kremes. It's, you guys, if this is not a cultural or a war on the Black and the white, I don't know what it is. Or the marginalized and the white. I really don't know what else it is. People have been coming through my feed, like I've seen it saying, well, this isn't a Black and white thing. No, it really is. We tore down statues of Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, who actually offered historical significance to our nation. Yes, they own slaves, but they have great value within our nation's history. To put up Shanene Bonquita for what? What's she done? Who is she? I am so confused. But it is such a, we're gonna topple white people and support Blacks. This goes back to why I think this ethnic studies curriculum is so horrible and damaging to some, or actually to all, but it gives this it creates a conversation where one group is forever bad. We can topple this group. We must topple this group. We must topple this narrative. We must topple, whiteness and white ideology and all of that. And we erect Shanene Bonquita. And if I'm simply looking at culture, that is what's happening. We are erecting a Shanene Bonquita. And it's not, one, it's not biblical. One, it's playing by weights of partiality. But on the other hand, like, what are we doing in our culture? We are getting rid of people who have made historical significance in our nation for people who haven't, simply because of the fact that they bear brown skin. We want to get rid of anything that's white, and at the same time, we're erasing our history. And I simply have no idea how we are continuing to go down this path, how people continue to support it. But I can tell you that at the end of the day, it's not going to end well for America. I thought it was Letitia James at first. You know what? You know what? Attention, all Black women and ladies, all of you are most beautiful Black princesses, queens worldwide. Amen. Amen. Well, Kenneth, you know what? Thank you for that. But you know, from my perspective, that we are all created in God's image. And while, you know, we can talk about, you know, Black girl magic and celebrating Black beauty and things like that, I don't want to do that to the detriment and putting down of another ethnic group, because they are created in God's image just as much as I am. And I also think that when we, especially with our kids, when we choose to lift up one group so high and then tell another group that, well, we're just not going to lift you up, or, you know, you are not as good, I think there's something emotionally damaging to in doing that as well. And so we want to make sure that we aren't playing by these rules of partiality and favoritism. Now, if I had a Black child, would I let my Black child know that they are beautiful in the skin that God has created them to be in? 100%. 100. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. God intend, honey, there is intentionality in who you are created to be. God didn't make any mistakes. But I would also tell that, you know, to the white child as well. And that's where we need to get to. It's like, how do I speak life and truth into my child, that God wasn't surprised when they were born with whatever skin that they were born in, and that they are fearfully and wonderfully made. There's actually something wonderful in the intentionality in which God designed them, and not do that to a prideful position, but into a way in which they can stand in the fear, reverence, and awe of God and who they have He's created them to be. So y'all, I really don't know. I don't know what we're doing. I can't see any comments because I have myself. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So we balance 2 white men with 1 full figure Black woman. Make it make sense. You can't make it make sense. And that's the problem. We cannot make it make sense. And then it's like they tore down, I think they tore down Frederick Douglass or Booker T. Washington. Like one of those. It's like, what are we doing? What is our society doing? But you also have to think about what's the greater narrative, or what's the greater ideas that people want pushed. I think this is bigger than Black and white. I actually think that this has something to do with the deconstruction of the West, and a deconstruction of history and historic values and Western values and things like that. If I can get rid of people who actually stood for something and replace it with a marginalized voice simply because they're marginalized, it's actually going to say a lot more. If she was an actual hero who happens to be put to be plus size, no big deal. Yeah, no. I just think it's funny that that's also the way that a lot of people view Black women. Like, I know a lot of, you know, skinny Black women, but I think it's interesting that it's a full, like a 2 lunch kind of Black girl. And hey, look, I'm not hating. I'm a 2 lunch kind of Black girl myself. I don't mind 2 lunches. But I do think that there was intentionality in going into the design of this woman, which makes me wonder, is that how you see all of us? Like, who is she supposed to represent? Is she supposed to represent me? Is she supposed to represent, you know, like, who is she representing? What is her story? Like, why do we have this statue of, like, what are we doing and why? Because normally when people put up art, when people put up statues of humans, there's some reason why there's like some historical connection. Who is she? She's just the figment of somebody's mind, their imagination, and they just put her up in Times Square in a place where she's going to be on display for so many people. I don't get it. I don't get it. Why was this even necessary? And if a white dude did it, I'ma fall all the way out. How ironic. And if an LGBTQ did it, I'ma fall out and cry. You know what? I don't know. I don't think that I think it's a person of color who did it. I don't know what their sexual orientation is, but you can't make it make sense. What it really says to me is that it's just very sad to see the state of where we are willing to topple and erase one group so that another group can be seen, because we don't in our minds actually believe that people can live successfully together. In order for it really is, it's that critical theory, idea that there's always going to be someone who's oppressed and someone who's the oppressor. There will never be an opportunity where people can live and, thrive in human flourishing together. History is it's cyclical. It will always be an oppressed and oppressor, oppressed and oppressor. And so now the people who have been oppressed are vying for their position as oppressor while the others are then oppressed. But it's a cyclical history. The mayor of Chicago just had all statues of Columbus removed. My gosh. My gosh. Okay. I was going to go to the shirts, but I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to do that at the end.
No, do it now.
Do it now. Krista she's very adamant. Do it now. You guys, I will do it now because that gives me some time to get people in. We are running a mid-year campaign, a mid-year fundraising campaign. We've turned 5. We turned 5 on February 24th. And for our 5th birthday, we are doing a celebration of being 5 and asking others to join us by donating $100 for our 5th year birthday. If you donate $100, we will send you a shirt for Pride Month. And so we ordered a couple of sample shirts, and this is what this is. Can they see it, Krista? There we go. So here it is. This is one of them, It says Pride. Let's see. It says the lust of the eyes, it says the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life comes not from the Father, but from the world. 1 John 2:16. That is one of them. And then this one says, okay, there it is. One man, one woman, one lifetime. And so for your donation of $100, you are actually supporting the day-to-day operations of the Center for Biblical Unity, and you will be sent a June Pride Month t-shirt. Because we ordered these are both extra larges, but because we have these as sample shirts, I just want to give them away. And so if your size is extra large, or you know someone who's extra large, or maybe you want to take it and tie it up and make it cute in the back, I don't know. Put in the comments shirt, and we will enter you in for our shirt little giveaway right now. And at the end of our time together today, I will randomly select 2 people, or Crystal will randomly select 2 people, and then we will send you those shirts. I will send them out tomorrow because I have to go to the post office. My least favorite thing to do on the earth. No, there are some other things, but it's not my top favorite. All right, you guys, talking about Black people. Let's look at a tweet from the managing editor at the Babylon Bee, Joel Berry. Now, I'm 2 lunches away. I can make it fit. All right. So this tweet from Joel Berry, let's see. Can you? Okay. I surely cannot see it. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Joel's tweet says, Black American culture is infected by racism, pride, hatred, and tribalism. It's not something for Western culture to aspire to or emulate. And I thought that was a pretty provocative tweet. I actually thought it was a pretty bold tweet for someone who's outside of, the Black culture. And I'm not upset with it at all. I actually was like, you know what? And Kevin and I just did a off code where he actually says a lot of the same things. And I agree. I think that our modern Black culture is definitely filled with pride, and it's a pride based in their ethnicity. It's an ethnic idolatry where the best thing about us is to be Black, and that can fill us with hatred. It makes me think of, and I'm not sure if any of you have seen this, but the Frontier Airlines situation, which some reports say that the guy, gosh, this Frontier Airlines situation, the guy came and he wanted to check in for his flight. He checked in late. The gate agents were Black. This guy is white, and they didn't let him on the flight. There was actually a little bit of time he could have made it, but the way that they treated him was so derogatory that my mind, anyway, immediately went to, oh, they treating him this way because he white. But that's not the only thing. Like, you can think back to Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, and how, there's this division, Black and white. So many people come around to support Carmelo Anthony simply because he's white, and there's such a vitriol and a hatred for, Carmelo Anthony because he's Black, and there's a vitriol and a hatred for people who are white. People who are Black are now standing up and saying, yeah, it's our time, and we're going to protect our own. And it's this very ethnocentric or ethnic idolatry type of feel. Or you can think of that thing that recently happened with that girl Shiloh Hendricks in Minnesota, where, and there's a lot of conversation about that, but calling, the 5-year-old boy the N-word and things like that. And people have now given her upwards over $700,000. And there's a push for it to get to $1 million because she's white. And, white people, we are not, or, the sentiment from many white people is that we're not going to be treated this way anymore. And so there is this ethnic idolatry, I feel like, on both sides. But a lot of what I'm seeing and what I have seen, especially since 2020, is this emboldening in the Black community of, we're Black, and the way we treat white people, what we say, we can now, it used to be kitchen conversations, but we're just going to say it out loud. We're going to say what we think. We don't care who feelings get hurt. And that's it. And so when you look into the culture, especially from the outside, like, you're like, wait, I thought we weren't treating people by the color of their skin. I thought we were doing it by the content of their character. I thought we weren't, being racist. I thought we weren't saying ethnic slurs and things like that. And so I get Joel Berry's his position and the thoughts into Black culture. But if you scroll down in that comment or in that tweet, it kind of gets a little dicey. So then he says, and it's the duty of every truly God-fearing Black American to reject it and escape it to join Western culture. Someone then says, I appreciate that, Joel. The only way forward is to have equal weights and measures, blah, blah. No, there's another, no, scroll up. Okay, under his comment, look at the comment that was right under it. No, click on the comments. Okay, you see the thing all the way to the left, the comment bubble? I might have to get up and help her, y'all. No, look at, okay, so look at right under that comment, there's a thing that says 73 and it has a comment bubble. Click on that. No, that's not it. There are other comments. It derived into Western culture. I'll just tell you, Western culture and Christianity, Christian culture are the same. You got it? Thank you. So someone says, is the escape in Western culture or Christian culture? And Joel says those are the same things. I take issue with that. I believe that our Christian culture is something that is very unique. It is not Western culture. I think that for a number of years, the West had a lot of overlap with Christianity. I think that there are, many values that have come over, especially from Western Europe and that really grounded America in who she is. And we lived in those values for a very long time. What we see today is a separating, a departing from those values. Just because America at one point had overlap with Christian values, that does not mean that America is a Christian nation. I think that we have shared in many of the benefits and blessings of having overlap. I think that for a long time we have had and held on to a cultural Christianity, a place where people didn't necessarily buck at the fact that you're celebrating Christmas, or that you pledge one nation under God, or that you have your hand on the Bible at a swearing in. But that is not today, people. We are not in a space where the West and Christianity are the same thing. And it would do us well as believers to understand that we are not in a place where the West and Christianity are running parallel together. The West is on a trajectory going way off somewhere else. Now, should we pray for our leaders? Should we pray for, people's hearts to be changed through the power of the gospel, so that they would have salvation and sanctification would come to individual hearts, so that people then would be able to impact our nation? Yes, but we cannot pretend that the West and Christianity are the same things, or that they, I'll say, ever were. I believe that Christian values are something that are very unique. We are a called out people. And to be a called out people is to be distinctly different from any nation. And so I wanted to highlight that because two reasons. One, more and more, I feel like white people are talking about the issues that are happening in Black culture. I wish more and more pastors would talk about the issues that are happening in culture overall, and do some of that work of evangelizing some of these communities that may be predominantly Black, but still going in with the hope and truth of the gospel, so that we can begin to see more change in more of these communities. But two, wanting to just challenge us in how we think about the West, how we think about Christian culture, and making sure that we aren't overlapping the two. Let me see what is happening in here. Hey, Future. All right. Okay. Next thing, y'all, we got a lot to get through. It's a lot to get through today. So just bear with me. Let me shrink this. All right. You guys, Colorado, yeah, yeah, y'all ever have like just real petty thoughts of like, I wonder if this state wasn't in the union, how much better we would be? That's mean. That is mean, and it is petty. Because people probably think that about California all the time. Like, if California just had that one good earthquake and was gone, our union would be a much stronger place. Colorado and Oregon they be that for me. I'm like, I'm not really sure what you're doing. California too, except I live here, and so I have a little bit of partiality toward it. But Colorado has passed a really controversial bill. It is HB 25-1312. I want to say it's called the Kelly Loving bill. And this bill is controversial for a number of reasons. It has written in bills that are adjacent to it, including or that include funding for things like abortion services, and mandating that insurers cover transgender procedures and all of that. But one of the main things that people have argued in relation to this Kelly Loving bill specifically, and I want to say it's Kelly Loving was someone who was killed in a Colorado nightclub shooting. I believe the nightclub was specifically one that was for the LGBTQ plus community, was like a queer or a gay club. And so this bill allows children to choose their, specified or preferred gender. and to change their name and use their preferred name in schools without their parents' consent. And many people stood up and gave, their reasons why this shouldn't be and things like that. And one guy said a lot in a very quick amount of time. And so I want to play Representative, I want to say his last name is Caldwell from Colorado, because I thought he made some pretty good points. Do you have that one for us? Sorry, I got Crystal working night and day. Man, sorry, friends.
I thought you were going to read more from the bill.
I'm gonna probably just come back to it. We're short on time, so I was trying to.
All right. The whole clip is 4 minutes.
It's a bit of a longer clip, but we'll play it, right. And if I need to stop it, I will.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, I just want to clear some things up between this discussion today, going all the way back to Judiciary Committee when I first heard this bill. And I said this in my closing remarks in Judiciary, and I'm going to repeat it here for this body in case you didn't hear it. We had a lot of testimony from transgender individuals, a lot of them young, teenagers, that came in and testified. And a lot of them accused myself and the members that were sitting on that committee of hating them, of hating the trans community. And what I said in my closing remarks is, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate any of you. That committee took a toll on me, I'm telling you right now. The amount of young teenage kids that came in there, and some of them cried, the word suicide and depression and loneliness, the amount of times that came up, and that they felt like they weren't understood by people. I'm telling you, members, that broke my heart to hear that as a father and as a human being. And I hope by now, over these last few months, that you've learned that I am generally just a nice person, an individual outside this well when I run into you in the hallways. I do not hate anybody. But as my colleague from Los Animas was getting at is, as a parent, I have hills and I have lines that I draw. And with the original version of this bill and this current version that we have right now, that line has been crossed. Because you've taken your beliefs and you've put them into my area, with my kids, my home. And that's where I draw that line at. And that's why myself and many of my colleagues have been fighting this bill the way we have. It's not because we hate trans people. It's because we hate having our parental rights infringed upon. It's as simple as that. A piece that's still in this bill that was in the original version is Section 6, and it talks about name changes in schools. And I ran an amendment that said you have to have parental consent to change your name in school if you are a child. And that amendment was defeated. Now let me be clear to the members in here. In my family, names have a meaning. There's a tradition there. I named my children. Who are any of you to tell me that my child can go to school and change their name without my even knowledge? Who are any of you to say that?
Oh, here.
I gave them their name.
So Representative Caldwell is talking about this idea that a child can go to school, they can change their name and a parent not know, but the bill is a bit deeper than that. What he is specifically, he's specifically talking about that, and that goes into something called dead naming. I'm going to actually read from the bill itself. Let's see. I'm going to start at, actually, I'll just start at the beginning of the bill summary. Section 1 of the bill creates the Kelly Loving Act. Section 2 provides that when making child custody decisions and determining the best interests of a child for purposes of parenting time, a court shall consider, dead naming, misgendering, or threatening to publish material related to an individual's gender-affirming healthcare services as types of coercive control. A court shall consider reports of coercive control when determining the allocation of parental responsibilities in accordance with the best interests of the child. Section 3 prohibits a Colorado court from applying or giving any force or effect to another state's law that authorizes a state agency to remove a child from the child's parent or guardian because the parent or guardian allowed the child to receive gender affirming care. Okay, so the parent that allows the child to receive the gender affirming care, they're going to get a pass. But the parent that dead names, uses the child's old name. So if that child used to be Thomas and now they go by Ashley, and I'm the mom and I use the name Thomas by mistake, if I was in a custody battle, I would be seen as using coercive control over my child. That's not going to bode well for me in court. Let's see. Sections 5 and 6 provide that a dress code adopted or implemented by a local education provider must not create or enforce any rules based on gender and must allow each student to abide by any variation of the dress code. So Thomas wants to come to school and dress like Ashley. That's Thomas' business. Section 7 provides that when an individual is required to provide their name through a form administered by a public entity, that form must include an option to provide the individual's legal name and chosen name. And they can do all of this without parental consent, without, their parents even knowing. Thomas can be Ashley all day, every day at school. And the way that it's going is that they can receive teacher support. Some schools have clothing closets, so now Thomas can go and get that dress so that he feels more comfortable. There are ways in which the government is stepping in to be able to separate parents and children, and parents will have no legal right. Parents actually may be punished. So if you're a Christian, let's say you're married and you're now getting divorced because your spouse has left the faith, but you are a spouse, or maybe that your spouse has, gone deeply progressive. You're the spouse that's remained in historic Christianity. You are now fighting over your children and the time that they spend. You do not want to call Thomas Ashley. That is going to be something that works against you in court. And 9 times out of 10, that, as the way things are going, especially as I'm watching what's happening in Colorado, that child being removed from the oppressive, abusive, coercive, controlling parent is more and more likely. Section 8 and 9 define dead naming and misgendering as discriminatory acts in the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act and prohibit these discriminatory acts in places of public accommodation. And so if I'm in school, if I'm in my counselor's office, whatever, if there's any form of public accommodation, I'll say that, maybe not like a counselor's office, but in a public setting, whatever my name is, do not dead name me or misgender me, because that will then be a case of discrimination. So I have to ask the question, well, if I'm at home, I know it's not a public space, but based on what you said about coercive control and parenting, can my child bring a case against me because for discrimination because I've used his or her dead name, or I've misgendered them? You've been Tony since you were born. You've been Anthony, Devon since you were born, and now you want me to call you Angela Danae. Like, what do you do with that? And what amount of support are children offered when these discriminatory acts happen? But this is what is happening in Colorado, and what I believe we are going to start seeing in California, in Oregon, in places where this progressive queer ideology is really taking root and being enforced. We will see more laws, being passed where children are protected from their parents. And I put protected in air quotes because it's not really a protection. It's really an intentional push to be able to deconstruct the nuclear family. We have to remember what the goal is. The goal is really to deconstruct the nuclear family. And so as I have read the bill in its entirety, um, and looking at, sorry, I have something flying in my face. What it is and what it's meant to be and how it is positioned to say that anyone who stands against you is discriminatory and they are full of hate. And we don't want to be discriminatory, or we don't want to be hateful. For the last at least 10 to 15 years, what has been pumped into our minds? Every shirt, we want to be kind. And so how am I kind? Well, I'm accepting of your beliefs, whatever your beliefs are. I, am affirming of those beliefs. I'm not speaking ill of those beliefs. I'm going to let you do you, boo, and all of that. We have adopted this be kind mentality and sacrificed our kids on this altar. And now the queer and trans community are coming to reap their harvest. It does make me question why, though, so many adults in politics want to be good allies for the sexual mores of my child, like the sexual well-being of my kid. I never realized that there were so many nasty adults in politics. So many people who have not only bought into an ideology that wants to deconstruct the nuclear family, but wants to give my child the right to be able to have sex at 10. They nasty. It's nasty that your brain is focused on the sexual things that kids are doing and wanting them to affirm what they can or cannot do. Let's see. God was always the target because this is the devil's hand. It is. It is. But the deconstruction of the family really is what a lot of this is going to. And I would say with the bigger goal of the deconstruction of the West, like when you think about socialism or Marxism, what were the two things that were standing in their way of destroying capitalism? It would be God and the family. Those were two of the major pillars in upholding capitalism. But the setup, you guys, and I really want to hone in on this, is that when you reject their ways of thinking, when you reject their idols, then you are hateful, you are unloving, you are the problem, you must be removed. And I honestly just think that we're going to continue to see this narrative grow and grow and grow. And I don't think that it's too late, though, for us to be able to use our voice to speak into some of these things. But we have to be intentional in knowing what are the things that we're fighting. What are the ideas that we're fighting? Who are some of the people who put forth some of these ideas? And what is the end goal? The end goal is the separation of parent and child. It is the deconstruction of the nuclear family. And it is going to continue. If you aren't noticing it, I would just say watch what's happening in the news. Watch what's happening. I think the last thing, I don't even know if I have time.
You're over time.
I am over time. Y'all, I wanted to talk about the pro-Palestinian protest at at Columbia yesterday, but I don't have time. I'm just gonna quickly say there was a pro-Palestinian protest at Columbia where I want to say someone of I think upwards of maybe 70 people were arrested. And it really leads into a bigger conversation of culture and how not every culture is the same. And Yeah, man, maybe I'll bring it up next week when we do our family meeting. We need to have a conversation on culture. And Chris has been saying this for a while, like not every culture is the same. And can we actually be like a pluralistic society with many cultures and, a religiously pluralistic society and, all of that. But I don't think that people understand that not every culture is the same. And at some point, we have to understand that if you are part of a pro-Palestinian march, you are essentially saying that you are against America. Because the Palestinians ain't for us. They are not for us. And if you are marching in a pro-Palestinian, you know, march or protest, it makes me ask the question of, are you participating in some kind of petty treason? Like, yes, I get free speech. I want people to have free speech. I want people to have the right to protest. But at what point do we say the right to protest is one thing, but the right to protest against the nation that you benefit from is something different? And so I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm sure that I could be, convinced that some kind of petty treason charge is the wrong way to go. But this is where my mind has been since yesterday of like, these people are actively marching against the nation that they live in. And so if you are not a legal citizen in America and you are protesting against the country that you are now finding refuge in, how do we send you back to wherever you came from? If this is your country and you hate it so much, what is the way forward with someone like that? And I get that many of them are young. I get that they're college students, but again, they've been indoctrinated into a way of thinking from since when they were young. And this is why we have to have better conversations with our kids about the value of living in America. But two, we as adults have to understand that not every culture is the same. And how are we intentionally promoting the American culture that brings the benefit? And this is outside of Christianity. There are benefits that come with being an American. There are benefits to women that come with being in the West. There are benefits to children that come with being in the West. Benefits that the ideology of the Palestinians or Islamicists they don't have. We need to be teaching that and training our kids up in a different culture. But yes, let me see. Krista is pointing to a comment. I'm little on my screen, so I can't really see it. Watch Krista teaching on Christian nationalism. Yeah, from last summer. Yeah, we need to understand that there's a culture war. There's a war of ideology, and we can't just sit by and watch. I think that we have a unique opportunity as believers to pray into the situation, but also to speak into the situation. And yeah. So I don't know. I'll have to talk about culture. That's going to be our topic next week. Is we're going to talk about culture and what is a culture? How do we define what a culture is, and what are some of the differences in differing cultures that benefit us or hinder us as a nation? And what happens, kind of like the conversation I had with Dr. Glenn Sunshine, what happens when you have too many cultures in a nation and people aren't actually assimilating into that nation? Will that start or trigger the decline of that civilization? I actually think so. If you haven't seen that interview, it was so good. I really appreciated that conversation. Check it out. You can see it on all the things. And yeah, but I am out of time. I wish I had more time. I will talk with you guys later. Wait. Well, Krista has something else. Oh no, I was supposed to give away the shirts. Yeah. I completely forgot. We only have one entry. Oh, we only have one entry. Okay. Who was it? Bright Shirt, A.E. Rogers. All right.
But they need to email us.
Yeah, email me at info@Center for Biblical Unity and send us your name and your address, and we will send you a shirt. And in there, put whether you want the one shirt or if you want the Pride shirt, and I will get it out to you. Info@Center for Biblical Unity, all spelled out, all the words spelled out. And yeah, we will get that to you.
Good question right here.
Is it fair to say that Western Civ wouldn't have developed as it did without Christianity? I do think that there are a lot of overlaps within Western civilization and Christianity, and I do believe that a lot of those things have aided and helped to protect us and helped our understanding of what it meant to be a human person to flourish, even though these things were not always um equitably or equally applied to all people. I do believe that the foundations were there because of people's faith, because of Christianity. And so yes, I do think that the Western civilized world is where we are largely in part because of, people's relationship with God or their understanding of the scripture, and that it was widely accepted or not pushed back on by and large. And so yes, I do believe that, and I don't believe that that's where we are today. I think today there's an intentional push. I believe it's completely demonic, and it is extremely intentional to do away with the West. And so how do we do away with the West, especially if you're a follower of Marx or of this socialist ideas and some of these more extreme views? Well, I need to do away with the family. We see this in real time through BLM. Patrice Cullors, I believe, was the one who said that they are trained Marxists, and they believe that, children can be raised in a village. Their website said that they were for the trans family and that they wanted to deconstruct the nuclear family. Why did they want to deconstruct the nuclear family? They wanted to deconstruct the nuclear family because they were Marxists. You can't have a village if you have a nuclear family. Why do I have a village if I have a nuclear family? That doesn't mean that we don't have support, but the type of village that they are referring to replaces the nuclear family. It uplifts the trans voice. But if we have a bunch of trans people, how do we have kids? Like I'm sure that somebody somewhere will figure it out, but it goes against God's moral order. It goes against Genesis. This is the goal, and this is why I say it's demonic, because it's a direct affront to what we see in Genesis, to the creation mandate, which is not just for Christians, but it's for all people. All people. Be fruitful and multiply. All people go forward, subdue, work. These are things before the fall. And so it's a direct affront to not just Christian values, but to what God has said in the beginning. And so, yeah, like there's a lot. There is a lot, people. But
One more thing.
Yeah, one more thing. Krista said there's one more thing. I bought my WIA ticket today with a flash sale, $20 off. Who else is going? I'll be there. I will be there. It is going to be in Dallas, Texas, or right outside of Dallas. Maybe it's not Fort Worth. I forget what it's called now. But yeah, it's going to be in Texas this year. Nancy Piercy, Alicia Wood, and Krista are going to be speaking. I believe they're all plenary speakers. And so if you guys are in that area, or if you want to make a CFBU road trip, come on out to Dallas, Texas. Maybe we'll do a CFBU meetup event or something. I don't know. We have to think about it. And if you want to support the Center for Biblical Unity and especially celebrate our 5th birthday with us, you can scan this QR code that's on the screen. If you can't give $100, that's okay. Just come on over and support where you can. We appreciate everyone's financial support. I love the fact that the Center for Biblical Unity is supported by so many people. It's individuals. We do our work. We are able to come on podcasts and travel and come to an office every day because people give. People give $10, people give $5, people give $25, people give $100. Like, people give. This is our ministry together. We are a family. It's the family ministry. And I'm just excited to do this with you. I am not doing it necessarily for you, but I'm doing it with you. When you guys come into the chat is when I'm like, well, who are you? Where are you watching from? Because hi, like, we speak when we come into the room. Like, we are family. It is not just this, we're just a ministry and, this is what we do. That isn't us. That's not our heart. We are so grateful to link arms and to really be a family with you guys. And so, yeah, that's who we are. We are the Center for Biblical Unity. If you are not familiar with us, maybe you've only seen me on here a couple times, check us out at centerforbiblicalunity.com. If you wait just a few seconds, there's going to be 2 pop-ups. The first one is going to be regarding our birthday celebration. The second one is going to be a way for you to sign up for our weekly newsletter. We do a weekly newsletter every Sunday, and it just catches you up on things that we've talked about in the week, places where we've spoken, or podcasts we've done. And yeah, it's just good information. It connects you with other, ministries at times when we've, seen something that is something that you should be, aware of, and things like that. So sign up for our digital weekly newsletter. We have a goal actually of getting to 10,000 new subscribers for our digital weekly newsletter. We're about 1,500 subscribers away. And so you can support us that way. Share our content, y'all. Yeah, like I know that not everybody is going to be as outspoken, loudmouth, and bold as I am, and that's okay. You're bold in your own way, and never feel like, hey, you need to be and speak how I speak. You do what the Lord is telling you to do. But if you are able and willing, I ask you to share the content out, and help the Center for Biblical Unity get their voice out there. And so that is that. Hey, from Michigan, I'm glad I found you guys last summer. We are glad you found us too. Reflections with Sheila Pearson. Well, hello there. Thanks for all. Thank you. You guys, just keep praying. Keep praying. That's our first weapon. You can be bold. You can use your mouth. You can use your voice, your vote, your dollar, whatever. But prayer and trusting in the Lord and evangelizing your family. I would say those are the 2 places where we start. All right, you guys. I will talk to y'all later. Oh, I don't know that we're having a family meeting. Let me tell y'all, family. Oh my gosh. Let me tell y'all, Krista graduates next week. She walks. And so we are traveling to her seminary on Thursday. I'm going to still try to do a family meeting because we got to connect. Maybe I'll do it on, I don't know, Wednesday, Thursday, but I'm going to try and maybe I'll do it on Wednesday because yes, we are leaving to go to Birmingham, and yes. And so pray for us as we travel, but yeah, she gonna walk, y'all. I'm gonna be all me. You talk about somebody, y'all know how we show up at a graduation, boy. I'm be like, hey, oh, did I knock it out? I didn't. Yeah, I am ready. I'm ready to celebrate with my girl. We're gonna be doing go Krista, go Krista, go Krista. Hey, get it, girl. Yeah. So you guys, thank you for making this possible. Thank you for walking with us, and know that we are praying for you. We do pray for you as well. And so that's it, y'all. Bye.